Love a steak. People love steak, and definitely one of the things that we've picked up looking at the parts of the world where people live the longest, most productive lives is that they're not eating loads and loads of meat. Once, twice a week, max. So quality, not quantity, definitely important. I've got it out of the fridge about half an hour at least before I want to cook it. You don't want to take things out of a cold place and put it in a hot place. It's going to go tough and not cook as beautifully, so we're getting that out. To go with the steak, I've already got 150 grams of whole grain rice on the go. It needs to boil for 25 minutes. What we're going to do is create some really decent flavour. Now, first up, I've got a jar here of peppers. You can get these in all the supermarkets. They've been grilled and peeled. 200 grams, okay? So you've got one of your 5 a day here already. But that juice, now you can throw that, by all means, in the bin, but that is all flavour. So that is going to go into our rice. It's got smoky, salty goodness in there. Let's have it. Simply tear open the peppers and stick them on the griddle pan. So get it nice and hot, and it's going to give you that lovely charred flavour. Also, it's been in a jar, so it kind of needs waking up a little bit and softening up a little bit. So I'm going to lay the peppers in here. Now, I've seen people cooking in griddle pans and pouring in a load of oil. Don't do it. You don't need it. A dry pan. Get it really, really hot. And of course, by not using fat, we're not wasting calories. So let's just char those peppers. Bring them back to life. And then let's get on the meat. All I want to do here is just push it down flat. So we're beginning to tenderise it. I want to season it with salt. Quite a nice amount of black pepper, because we know that pepper and steak love each other. And just a little bit of oil, just to rub around the outside. So I'm just going to pat that all over, and that's a really lovely kind of outside kind of crust that we can create on the steak, and that's all we need, okay? So the peppers are done, put them on a platter and save them to serve with the steak later. So what I want to do is dress the peppers in the actual juices coming out of the steak. So it's really about being clever about flavour. That's all looking good. The steak can go straight on the bars here. Push it down. Let's get nice char marks. I'll turn it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you get a nice crisscross sensation on the outside of the steak. Push it down, and we should be laughing. Again, no oil going in this pan, just the minimal oil on that steak and high seasoning is going to be great. It'll just need 2 to 3 minutes on each side for medium rare. Beautiful. So, next up, this kind of brown rice tabbouleh, okay? This is a brilliant way to love herbs. I'm doing my superfood version of tabbouleh. It's a Middle Eastern dish, traditionally made with herbs and bulgur wheat. But I'm using brown rice instead. So to start off, grab yourself a small bunch of parsley and mint. Right, we're going to go to the most basic chopping action ever, okay? And that's the cross-chopping. Hand here, and then holding the handle here, and just rocking it through like that. This is so simple. And basically keep doing it until it's nice and fine. Next, chop up 2 spring onions. And then for the dressing, you'll need the zest and juice of 1 lemon and a glug of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. So we're doing double lemon juice to olive oil. I want to get it really zingy. So look, the brown rice is done. It's had about 25 minutes. All I want to do is drain that. But when the rice is hot like this is the perfect time to dress it in all that gorgeous stuff. Add a pinch of cayenne pepper to your olive oil and lemon juice. Then go in with the rice and all the herbs. Of course, you can serve it hot, warm or cold. It'll keep in the fridge as well, which is really, really nice. But I always think sort of room temperature is absolutely the best. Actually smells fantastic. Let's have a little taste. Nice. Right, I do need to season it, but I'm going to use feta cheese later. And if you buy feta cheese in these little tubs here, there's a little tip. There's that juice in there. The smallest little swig of that juice that the feta cheese comes in is amazing, because obviously it's seasoning, but it's more than that, it's flavour. So we'll take that. We're always taking flavour, and we don't want to waste. The steak is beautiful. I want to put that straight on to our peppers here. Can you see it resting? And that's what we want, where it's resting and there's just juices pouring out of it, okay? That's going to kind of sink in through the peppers, so you're going to get peppery beef juices. It's going to be absolutely lovely. Next, toast up 25 grams of unsalted pistachios on a medium heat. Nuts are an easy way to add a nutrition boost to any meal, so they're going in. While that's happening, pomegranates. I just want half a pomegranate. I'm a massive fan. I absolutely love them. And I want to get their flavour into the salad. Little capsules of sweetness. Hold it in my hand like that, put it like that, and just get a spoon and give it a ruddy good spanking. So all those little capsules just sort of bust and burst.
Pomegranates are a source of B vitamins, which help keep our metabolism, immune and nervous systems healthy.
And then just stir that through. Imagine just eating the salad, and then you come across that beautiful little capsule of sweetness, boop, and it's just shock and surprise, but a really nice one, so I like that.
Time to remove your pistachios from the pan and give them a good old bash up in a pestle and mortar.
I'm just gonna sprinkle into the salad. So, this is looking good to go. I'm just gonna pile that beautiful salad onto there. The steak here has been resting. You can see how much juice has come out here. If I just put the peppers to one side, there's loads of that good stuff there. So the peppers here, we can just dress that in all the beautiful juices.
Thinly slice that gorgeous juicy steak and drape it all over that lovely rice salad.
And then I want just a tiny bit of feta cheese, literally 10 grams, just sprinkled over the top like that. I love feta. It's one of the lowest fat cheeses. It looks beautiful, and it's kind of nice to use it like a seasoning.
Add the feta. It's a really tasty way to get some more calcium into your diet.
Once the feta's gone on, a final little sprinkle of pistachio. And there, my friends, is the lovely grilled steak and peppers with jeweled tabbouleh rice. That's an absolute crowd pleaser.
And this just goes to show how a little steak can go a long way.
It's totally balanced, it's nutritious. So all round, it's a great, healthy, delicious, beautiful dinner. Look at that. Just gonna have to eat it now.
That super fast, super delicious grilled steak and feta dinner comes in at just under 600 calories per portion.
It's good. It's really good. Guys, this is for the ultimate steak, a blowout meal, something special for the weekend. This is a double steak, double thickness. This will feed 2 greedy or 4 people. We're gonna create an incredible crust, amazing flavor, and still get beautiful, blushing, juicy meat on the middle. This is taking steak to a completely different level. Let me show you how to do it.
This isn't about the everyday. This is about going the extra mile to create a weekend feast. Trust me, your friends and family will love you for this one.
This is the côte de bœuf. It's been French trimmed. That means the meat off this bone has been removed. It's got 2 different cuts within the one cut. So we've got this cap meat here, which is darker, it's delicious, it's sweet. It's the bit that I always fight over on a roast 4 ribber beef. Then you've got this eye meat here, kind of a little bit more like a tasty sort of sirloin of steak. Notice the intramuscular fat, right? This is a good thing. It means that that fat will melt and season and take care of that meat, and it means flavour.
To go with the ultimate steak, I want to give you the ultimate golden crunchy roast potatoes. Get yourself some Maris Pipers. I've tested loads of these and they're the best.
I'll just peel it with a knife, and that's what I want. A nice 2 squash ball sized piece of potato.
Parboil them for longer than normal, around 12 minutes, until they're almost a bit mushy. Drain and let them steam till dry for an awesome crunch on the outside and extra fluffiness on the inside.
Let's do it, let's cook it. So we'll preheat the tray and the oven to 200 degrees Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit. We're gonna use 2 fats here. Olive oil, butter. That's gonna give it colour and a lovely sweetness. Then we're gonna go in with a really important herb to beef and potatoes, good old rosemary. Apparently an antidepressant, so we can all do with a little bit of that. One more thing, guys, to take it to that extra place. 1 bulb of garlic, no peeling, no mucking about, just give it a good old spank and into that fat.
Right, now you want to coat all the spuds. Give them a big fat herby kiss of love and a good sprinkling of sea salt. Bung in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour at 220 until golden and crisp. Now, time to cook up the steak.
So what I want to do is show you how to perfect the perfect steak.
First up, I'll give it a good rub all over with sea salt and finely ground black pepper. Beef loves pepper.
You want to get this out of the fridge an hour and a half before you cook it, because if I took you off a beach in Ibiza and threw you in the sea in Iceland, right, you'd be like, ah! And that's what that meat's going to do if you try and cook it like that from the fridge, right? So we want it to be nice and gentle. So in this pan, I'm going to add some oil. I'm going to go in fat side down. Let's get the fat touching the pan first. Let's get that fat rendering, and it'll also put more fat in the pan, which will kiss the meat later. I'm just sealing the steak at the moment. Then put it onto the face, just like that. Now you remember, we want to go for double steaks, right? Double steaks allows us the ability to create that bark, that crust, that flavour, that beautiful, beautiful look and feel, okay? You can't do that with a regular single portion of steak.
Cooking at the weekend is all about taking the time to create something special. So turn that steak every minute for perfect results.
Look at the fat dancing around here, okay? That's what we want. That's going to create that amazing flavour.
Next up, make yourself a herb brush. Any woody herbs will do. Rosemary, thyme, oregano. Get a wooden spoon out and tie up all the herbs with a piece of string.
Ah, flavour, perfume, care, simplicity itself. Absolutely gorgeous.
I like the beef medium rare, but my wife loves it just blushing. So I'm going to cook it for 6 minutes on each side. Once it's gnarly and gorgeous on the outside, give it a good baste with the juices from the pan and leave it to rest for 4 minutes. Now, an amazing tip to take your ultimate roast potatoes to a whole new level.
Get down to Boots. Go and get those funny little spritzer things that your wife buys to put things on her hair or on her face, or I don't know what the girls do with this stuff, and do something really real with it, right? We're going to plonk in some herbs, any spices, anything that gets your thing going, right? I want to fill this up with a kind of flavoured or spiced vinegar, cider vinegar, white wine vinegar. Even here, I've used chili and red wine vinegar, right? I have 2 or 3 of these hanging about, and when I'm roasting meats or potatoes, I pull it out when it's sizzling and put it back in the oven, and it gives it this little hidden, invisible something, right? This is proper secret stuff. I shouldn't be telling you this stuff. This is how we go the extra little level in the restaurants, okay? And that's what you get. When the potatoes are nearly done, spritz on that layer, back in, 30 seconds, dehydrates, sticks to it. It's going to be subtle, don't worry. I'm not talking like fish and chips, but there's going to be that little bit of something on the little bit of crust, on that little bit of roast potato that just punches you in the face and goes, Boyakasha! Shimon! Ow! That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Tell you what we're going to do, the next bit, we need to squash them. The ultimate roast potato needs to be squashed, okay? Get something flat on top, and we're just going to squash it. The fluffiness comes out, the crispy bit goes flat, so we're going to get more surface area of crisp and more fluff exposed.
Finish them off with another spritz of vinegar and a final sizzle in the oven.
Now it's time to slice up our steak.
Season with sea salt and mix some good quality extra virgin olive oil with the juices. Drizzle all over the steak to keep it lovely and moist. Juicy steak, the ultimate roast potatoes, and a fresh lemon and watercress salad. Now that's a proper weekend treat.
So look at that. Ultimate steak, but definitely not as you know it. It's steak night, and I want to show you the best steak ever. This is the ultimate T-bone steak, sirloin, fillet, beautiful beef dripping potatoes. And the best condiment ever, salsa verde. Let's do this. First up, I've used some fantastic red skin potatoes. I've cut them into like inch chunks, skin on, right? And then I've whacked them in water with 2 beautiful bulbs of garlic. Now, by parboiling them for about 5 or 6 minutes, you soften the potatoes, but most importantly, you convert that garlic to being creamy on the inside. And when it goes in the pan with the beautiful beef juices, it's gonna be caramelized and gorgeous. So spuds and garlic are on. Back to the steak. What you want to say to your butcher is, can I have a lovely T-bone steak? I want it at least 2 to 2.5 inches thick, 1 big chunk. You get different cuts. You get the sirloin, you get the fillet. This is going to be an epic thing. Get your steak out of the fridge an hour before you cook it. Very important. Now, we can see there's different thicknesses of fat here. Even it out, slice up this fat, put it in a pan. It's going to give you more flavour, because you're cooking steak in steak fat.
but also this is going to go on your potatoes. So it's like a double whammy. I'm going to season it generously with black pepper to not just flavour it, but help create a bark, a really dark, gnarly outer skin, leaving you with a juicy, gorgeous, sumptuous inside. Sweep the crispy bits to the side, and then place this steak fat side down. The girth or thickness of the steak is holding itself up. Now, drain the potatoes. One of the benefits of being on the end of a pier, we don't need a sink. Give them a good old shake. So what I'll do is get a bigger pan on, a little bit of olive oil, then go in with our potatoes. What I want to do is season it, and then in with the crispy bits. They got a lot of love to give still. If you have a look in this pan, we can steal a little bit of this beef fat. And this is going to make the best crispy potatoes ever. So back on the heat to get golden and crisp all over. That might take 30 minutes, depending on how big your pan is. So look, back to this steak now. Let's have a little look. Sizzling, dancing fat, gorgeous. So now, onto the bone side. You're going to get that heat going through the middle of the fillet and the sirloin. Also, the bone marrow will find its way out, and it will end up kind of getting rubbed on the outside of the steaks, and it's going to be delicious. See that fat? We'll put this meat straight into it. We're going to use this rosemary brush, dab it in that fat, and I can smell already the story is changing. Cook this steak 1 minute each side, and you want to keep as much juice inside that steak as possible. So 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, kissing it with rosemary again. This steak now has had about 4 minutes on each side. I'm going to cook it medium to rare. So that will come off the heat now, and we're going to let that rest, okay? Give it one last kiss of oil to protect the meat. It can dry out if you don't give it a little oil. Just look at these amazing potatoes. I want to add some lovely thyme. If you put the thyme in for the last 10 minutes, you get the most delicious flavour. It's so, so good. So we'll put that back on the heat. That's just now on a low heat, just ticking away. So amazing potatoes, amazing steak. The perfect thing to go with it is the classic salsa verde. It's normally with parsley. I love it with mint also. Grab it at the top and just rip it off. So then we want to add some other fragrant bits and pieces. Gherkins, 2 or 3. Then anchovy, the thing that so divides people. You will not taste the anchovy, but it will give an incredible depth of flavour. Garlic, just a little half clove of garlic, a heaped teaspoon of capers. Now what we do is start to slice up. Once finely chopped, add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, a glug of extra virgin olive oil, and a splash of good vinegar. This is like the Italians' equivalent of horseradish sauce, mint sauce. Beautiful. And now, time to serve. You can see how the juices have rested out. We love all that. So this is when your friends and family are around. You do not want them to miss out on this bit. Use your carving knife to follow the bone and take off the fillet. Then we've got the other side of the bone. And off it comes. Take the fillet, and I can just slice it at an angle. You can go a little bit thicker now on the sirloin. Lay it out with pride. Take the juices, and I will pour that all over the steaks. The salsa verde. Look at that. Crispy potatoes. Oh, my Lord. That's what it's about. Outrageous. Come on, enough talking, let's just do it. Get yourself one of those gorgeous potatoes. A little bit of steak, nick a bit of the garlic. That beef, melt in your mouth. Every mouthful, you've got flavour, 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 flavour. And that salsa verde is an absolute game changer. The tang of the vinegar and the cornichon, the capers, the garlic. Wow. There you go, lovely people. I know you love your steak and chips nights, but why not take a little bit of inspiration from our Italian brothers and sisters? Cheers.
Okay, lovely food tubers, now it's time to learn how to do the perfect steak ever in the whole wide world. It will change the way that you cook steak forever. No more tough steaks. These are the 4 conventional prime cuts of steak. The sirloin, £32 a kilo today. Ribeye, that's £32 a kilo as well. Fillet, that's the prize jewels, £54 a kilo. And here, rump is £25 a kilo. I have a little secret steak that I'd like to tell you is my favourite steak, better than all of those 4 prime cuts. This, my friend, is the feather blade steak, or the blade steak, or in America you call it the flat iron steak. Look at the fat marbling here. It's absolutely delicious. If you give me the fillet, I'll throw it back to you. You give me this, yes mother, that's what we're talking about. Come and have a look at this as well. £17.90 a kilo for really good quality beef, right? This is the blade. So it sits about here, like that. Moo. It's these hard sinews that kind of make this cut a little bit unfashionable. Once you've taken it out, you're left with the best steak ever. Any good butcher will do this for you. Phone them up, say I want a feather blade or a flat iron steak, they'll do it for you. We're gonna put a little bit of oil over the steak here. I've got a thick bottom pan on a very high heat. I'm gonna rub the steak all over with the oil, heavy on the pepper, heavy on the salt, pat it in, salt and pepper on both sides. So we go to a pan. I'm going to put just a little oil in here as well. I'm going to go in with the steak. I'm just going to wipe my hands. Also, very importantly, do not take your steak from the fridge and cook it. Take the steak out of the fridge for an hour before you use it. Cover it, let it kind of get to room temperature. If it's screaming cold in the middle and screaming hot on the outside, it's going to toughen up, be horrible and fairly miserable. The flat iron steak really benefits from being cooked medium rare. I'm going to turn it once a minute, every minute. You want even cooking from both sides. So being equal with both sides keeps the moisture in the middle, which means when you rest it, it then comes back out again and gives you a beautiful, juicy steak. That's the way I do it. That's the way all my chefs do it. That's the way my steakhouse does it. And that's the way I think you should do it. The supermarkets around the world love to sell you a portion, kind of 8 ounces. I would advise go into a butcher's and instead of getting a thin little centimetre steak, get a double steak. That'll serve 2 people. That way you can create a really dark outside and it can still be medium rare in the middle. If it's half the size of that, whatever you do to it is going to be well done. It's almost impossible to cook to your liking. If you love food, get a double steak. Now there's a couple of little things you can do for a sort of beautiful natural flavour. My friend Adam Perry Lang, he used to like rubbing the steak as he turned it with a little garlic. It's very subtle. I actually really like that. Another thing that you can do is you can get a little butter. When you turn the steak and it's sizzling on top, get that butter and just put it on top, just like that. And that sweetness from the butter is really beautiful. And again, that's going to add to that beautiful caramelization. And my last little trick is herbs. This is thyme, you could use rosemary, you could use oregano. What I do is go into this pan and just take that fat and just give it a ruddy good whipping. And that will again put in beautiful flavour. Oh, I've cooked this now for about 3 minutes on each side. As soon as that comes off, you give it another little whip of the herbs. The juices are starting to come out. That's gorgeous, that's like a little free gravy just for you. Let it rest for 2 minutes. That method of cooking a steak applies to cooking over wood, charcoal, and any of these classic prime cuts. Let's come back to the steak over here. I'll cook this medium, okay, which is the max you want to go. This is nice. My wife would love this. I would like it a little bit more bloody. Look at that. Feather blade steak. It's just the bomb. Not many people know about it, so it's super, super cool. Good quality extra virgin olive oil here. And if you shake it, it just marbles. That, my friends, will be the perfect steak. This was £17 a kilo instead of £54 a kilo for a fillet. Let's have a little try of this steak. So good. I prefer it to a fillet steak anytime. I'll be happy to never ever have it again. That is where it's at. I'm going to show you how to make the perfect steak. This recipe is going to hold your hand and give you the tips and shortcuts so you can get it right every single time. This here is the griddle pan. Now, in Italy, they've got an old method of cooking called al mattoni. It means under the brick. We've got these beautiful sort of shark tooth ridges, which are going to give you those incredible bar marks. But also in my hand is a thick, heavy grill lid. You've got the cooking and the weight from both sides, and it's going to give you the juiciest, juiciest meat. So we're gonna cook a beautiful sirloin steak. Now look, lots of people get their steaks from the supermarket and they get thin little steaks like that, and it's so hard to control the cooking. The way to fix it is to buy a double steak for 2 people. Simply in your butcher's or supermarket, go to the counter and say, look, I want a nice sirloin steak about 1.5 inches thick. That way you can get it golden, really crispy, and the inside doesn't get overcooked. So first up, what I want to do is just rub this steak with a little olive oil, not much, and then I'm going to season it quite generously with pepper. Right, so I'm not going to season it with salt. I'll do that later once I've sliced the meat. So we're going to roll the pepper all over, and look at that. Nice and generous. Now, this griddle pan, it's been preheating for like 4 or 5 minutes. It's screaming hot. Turn your fan on, right? This lid is as hot as the bottom. So I'm gonna put my steak in, push it down, and I'll put the lid on top, and now we are cooking. So I'll turn the meat after a couple of minutes so you get that nice crisscross bar marking, and then you can cook it to your liking. Medium, medium rare, rare, whatever you like. So let's have a little look. So you can see already we've got lovely bar marks. So down we go, and on with the lid again. So one of the things I love to do is sort of halfway through the cooking, you know, just whip the lid off like that, get yourself some herbs, a bit of rosemary, a bit of thyme, and just mop up some of that fat that's rendered out of the steak, and just use that to sort of brush and baste the steak. You'll smell it straight away. Does it make a difference? Yes, it does. Absolutely beautiful. So that's cooked now. I'm gonna take the steak and I'm just gonna let it rest. Look at that, sizzling away. As it rests, the juices go back to where they came from. That's why you're gonna get the juicy meat. Also, a little bit of the juices come out, and if you just shake that with the olive oil, you're gonna get the most amazing natural sauce. Now, to go with this, I've done what I think is one of the best little side dishes. It's a little potato stew with mushrooms. And I start in a pan, a little oil, a little garlic, a little thyme. I just bring it up to the heat. And as it fries, in go in the mushrooms and a little finely chopped onion. And as I fry that off, I put in some little chunks, little nuggets of potatoes and a little chicken stock. I've popped it in the oven for like an hour, but I've cooked it in this cocotte pan. And this is like a casserole. It is so beautiful. It holds heat in such a wonderful way. And if I turn the heat up now, I'm gonna add some creme fraiche. And this is such a sumptuous, indulgent, I mean, look at that, too good. So, come on, the moment of truth. Let's see what this steak is like. Let's move it around in the juices. It's shining, it's gorgeous. We'll save this juices, don't waste that. So get yourself a nice carving knife, and let's do lovely thin slices. So it's blushing, and it's gnarly and crisp on the outside. So juicy. And look at that. And now you take a pinch of sea salt, and from a height, just season that. And then you can just place it on the resting juices here, and that is gonna be so, so good. So let's plate up. On the plate we go. Let's get a nice slice of that steak and the juices. And then I love to serve that steak with just a little watercress, really nice and peppery. And then what you can do is take just a little bit of vinegar to those resting juices. So there you go, guys, the perfectly cooked steak with that incredible little stew of potatoes, mushroom, and that kick of creme fraiche, watercress salad. Happy days. Right, enough talking. Let's have a little try. Mmm.